Hello everyone, Alicia here with another lightened up Weight Watcher friendly recipe, and today's recipe is going to be for spiced apple cake with a cream cheese frosting. Now this is definitely fall inspired. I have kind of kicked off my fall baking. I absolutely love fall baking, fall flavors, all of that good stuff. I have a full fall playlist that I'll be sure to link up above and down below. You can check that out if you want, with kind of my past year's fall recipes, but definitely be on the lookout for a lot more coming this year, because again, it is really probably my favorite season of the year and definitely my favorite season to bake. So I thought I would show you guys this really easy apple cake, because it is definitely all things fall with apple and the spices in it, but it's very easy to make, very delicious, and no one would ever guess that it was a lightened up recipe. So let's jump in and I'll show you what you're gonna need to make it. First off, you're gonna need some all-purpose flour, 2 1/4 cups of that. And then here, I've got some fat-free Greek yogurt. You're gonna need a cup of this for the cake and then an additional tablespoon for the frosting. You're gonna need 3 large eggs. And then here I've got a medium Pink Lady apple that I'm gonna just be dicing up. Now you can use whatever type of apple that you want. I tend to like to use an apple that's more on the tart side, like a Granny Smith, or at least semi-tart, semi-sweet semi-tart, I should say, like these Pink Ladies are. They're kind of a sweet tart apple, but they are nice and crisp. I like to use those. I like to use Cosmic Crisp, which are also a sweet tart crisp apple. But again, those are just kind of my personal preferences for this type of a thing. You could use a sweet apple, you could use whatever it is that you prefer, but you're gonna need 1 medium apple. Next up, I've got 2 of these Mott's no sugar added applesauce cups, or an equivalent of a cup of unsweetened applesauce is what you're gonna need. For sweetener here, I've got a 1/2 cup of monk fruit classic, and then a 1/3 cup of a brown sugar monk fruit. Now you can use whatever type of sugar-free or sugar alternative that you want for this. The monk fruit is just kind of my personal preference as far as lack of aftertaste and all that good stuff. I've tried a lot of different sweeteners through the years, and monk fruit is definitely my favorite. But again, whatever type of no-calorie sweetener you want in both a classic and then brown sugar alternative. Next up, I've got some apple pie spice. I'm gonna be using 2 1/2 teaspoons of that. Now this stuff I make myself. I'll go ahead and put the video where I show making that, and then the pumpkin pie spice. I like to make both of those every year because I use so much of it, and it's very easy to do and less expensive to just make it yourself. So if you're interested in that, I'll have that linked up above and down below. Also, you don't have to use apple pie spice. If you want to sub out with cinnamon, you can do that as well. Here I've got some salt, a 1/2 teaspoon of that is what I'm going to be using. Baking powder, 2 teaspoons, and then baking soda, a 1/2 teaspoon. Down here I've got some melted coconut oil, a tablespoon of that. You could use vegetable oil if you want. Next up, you're gonna need 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract for the cake, and then an additional 1/2 teaspoon for the frosting. You're also gonna need a 1/3 cup chopped pecans, some cooking spray for your cake pan, and then the last 2 ingredients for the cream cheese frosting, you're gonna need some powdered sugar alternative. I'm using powdered monk fruit because again, monk fruit is my favorite sweetener. I'll be using a 1/4 cup of that. And then, as I said before, there will also be the vanilla, 1/2 teaspoon, and then tablespoon Greek yogurt in the frosting. And then finally for the frosting, you're gonna need some room temperature, low fat or a 1/3 less fat cream cheese. This is 4 ounces or 1/2 of a brick. So that is everything for this cake, so let me get it started. First thing I'm gonna do is get my oven preheating 350, and then I'm gonna get my apple chopped up. And again, I'm gonna just be kind of finely dicing this. You could also shred it if you want. I am also gonna leave the skin on. You could definitely remove that if you wish. It gives it a little more of a rustic feel, so I like to leave mine on sometimes. Sometimes I take it off. But anyway, I'm going to get this all chopped up, and then I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. I've got this all diced up. And hopefully you can kind of see the size that I've got going on here. You could do this in bigger pieces, smaller, whatever it is that you want. I've got kind of an assortment of really small pieces and then a little bit bigger. But anyway, got that chopped up, so now I'm gonna set that aside. And in a medium-sized bowl here, I'm gonna add in my 2¼ cups flour, ½ teaspoon salt, ½ teaspoon baking soda, 2 teaspoons baking powder, and 2½ teaspoons apple pie spice, or again, you can use cinnamon if you want. And I'm gonna just whisk all of those together really well. All right, I'm gonna set that aside. Now in my mixer, I'm gonna add in my 3 eggs, cup of fat-free Greek yogurt, and this again is plain, my tablespoon coconut oil, my sweeteners, applesauce, and 2 teaspoons vanilla. Now I'm gonna mix all of that together really well. Got that mixed together well, so I'm gonna take this off. And I'm gonna pour in my dry ingredients and fold those in really well. You can also do this in the mixer if you want, but I don't want to over mix this. So I'm just kind of doing it by hand until I don't see any more dry ingredients. And this is looking pretty good at this point. So now I'm going to add in my chopped apples and fold those in really well. All right, that's looking good. So I'm going to go ahead and get out my cake pan. I've got a 13 by 9 inch pan here. I'm going to just spray it real quick with this cooking spray and then pour my batter in. Spread that out in there evenly. And now this is ready to bake at 350. You're gonna wanna bake it until it kind of bounces back when you press on it, and it's gonna have a slight golden brown look to it. So I will be back once this is done. This took just about 30 minutes. It's definitely done. So now I'm gonna let it cool completely, and then we will do the frosting and frost it. Now that my cake is cooled, I'm gonna go ahead and make up my cream cheese frosting. Now, if you want to lighten the points on this even more, a lot of people like to use the sugar-free pudding mix. That's, I think it's cheesecake with Greek yogurt, like a cup of Greek yogurt to a tablespoon of the pudding mix. That's good too, and again, lighter points than what this is gonna be, but I like my cream cheese, so I like to make it this way most of the time. Plus, I can't ever find that pudding mix. Let me know if you guys have a hard time finding the cheesecake pudding mix. I can't ever find it. Anyway, that I did want to throw out there as an alternative because I've had a lot of people mention that to me as well when I showed this one. And it is good, but sometimes I like closer to the real deal, which is what this is, with the actual cream cheese in it. So I'm gonna add in my cream cheese, my 1/4 cup Lakanto powdered, tablespoon Greek yogurt, and my ½ teaspoon vanilla. Put my little guard on here so I don't make a huge mess, which is what I typically do. And then I'm gonna mix this up real well. And usually I like to use the little whisk paddle for this, but I cannot find that. So I'm just using my regular paddle. But I'm gonna go ahead and mix all of that together until it's nice and creamy. And I usually have to kind of knock this down in here so that I can get it all nice and creamed together. So give that one more whip and we'll be good. It's looking good. I'll show you a little closer up here what this looks like. There it is. So this is ready to frost. So this is nice and cooled down. It's been sitting for over an hour. So now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna frost it. I've got this frosted and I took my pecans and chopped them up in a little bit smaller pieces. And I'm gonna sprinkle those on the top. And that is all there is to this one. So I'll go ahead, cut out a piece and show you that and give you the points. All right, here I've got a piece of that, which is a 1/12 of the total. Hopefully that's picking up okay. And that is gonna be 5 points. I went ahead and took a couple pieces out of here so you could maybe see the inside of this a little better, in case my piece here didn't show up, but I think it's picking up pretty well. This cake is really moist, and that just is from the applesauce, the yogurt. The additional chopped apples in there add some extra moisture too, but really nice moist cake. Try and show you here how moist this is. Hopefully you can tell on camera. Very, very good. Very, very good. All right, guys, that was a spiced apple cake with cream cheese frosting. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you, as always, for watching, and I will see you on the next one.